Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and this video is about a new game, Asterigos, Curse of the Stars. This action RPG is one I've had my eye on for quite some time, and the release date really crept up on me. In fact, it's out now. Like right now, on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, GOG, Epic Game Store. It's out, so go look. Fortunately, Acme Game Studio and Tiny Build gave me the opportunity to play the full game ahead of the release. And while I haven't finished it yet as of this video, I wanted to share my experience with the game thus far. Now heads up, this video is sponsored. However, the team didn't give me any criteria or direction on what kind of video to make. They said, hey, you want to do a sponsored video for Asterigos? I said, sure, it's a cool looking game. And they said, all right, go. And that's pretty much it. As such, I like to keep it real, so all of my thoughts, opinions, anything I express in this video is strictly my own and isn't being influenced by the sponsorship. I chose to make this style of video as it best reflects my experience with the game. So with all the FTC compliant disclosure out of the way, let's get talking. So as I stated before, Asterigos is an action RPG set following a young woman named Hilda. She is on a quest to find her father after he disappeared on a mission to the cursed city of Aphis. This city serves as the center point of the game, both in terms of its location and the conflict. It is also heavily inspired by ancient Greek mythology, so names, enemies, building structure, armor, and even some of the locations you go to around Aphis will all seem incredibly familiar. It doesn't use the mythology as a one-to-one comparison most of the time, and ensures to take liberties throughout the story to ensure you can't just predict how the game is going to go if you're already familiar with the mythology behind it. You might just see some things that you know about and maybe have an inkling about. Speaking of which, the devs spared no effort in expanding this city and the world around it, with tons of collectibles and interactions that heavily expand on the background of the people that live there and their troubles. Some are simple journal entries from soldiers serving in the army, some are fragments of memory called echoes that replay past events right in front of you. You may learn something from listening to the citizens just by peeking around the corner, or by just knocking on their doors and asking them yourself. You can dive into as much of this as you want, or bypass it if that isn't your thing, but there are plenty of side quests you'll find if you do take the time to look around. I just really wanted to give the team kudos for going all out to build a world around a familiar mythology without outright copying it, despite the fact they totally could have, and I'd honestly have been okay with it. That is especially important because this game is quite story-driven. There are cutscenes and lots of dialogue expanding the world, and Hilda, and by extension you, have plenty of opportunities to decide how the story will play out. Your decisions will determine the fate of the city, who your allies and enemies are, and how the story just plays out in general. I already regret a decision or two in my own first playthrough, but otherwise I am pretty content with what I've decided on. Curious to see the differences across other people's playthroughs with their decisions. Now with the scenery and mythology gawking out of the way, though that music is pretty solid even though I haven't mentioned it yet, let's talk about Hilda, our protagonist. She is a young and snappy woman coming to terms with the adventure she is on, slowly but surely. Fortunately, she is no stranger to battle. At the start of the game, as you're walking through the short and sweet tutorial, you'll find all of Hilda's weapons. She has 6 unique weapon types, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Looking to get in close and be a blocking or parrying god, sword and shield, or the spear might be up your alley. Or maybe you'd like to dip around with the swiftness of the daggers, have serious impact with the hammer, or sling around some magic with the staff or bracelets. While the number of weapon types is only 6, they complement the game and each other quite well, ensuring you have plenty of ways to dispatch your foes. Not to mention, Hilda can have 2 of them equipped at once. This allows her to switch her style mid-combo or ensure that she has a backup weapon for a particular type of enemy. I found myself focusing on the dagger through my roughly 8 hours I've played so far, zipping around the smaller enemies and keeping up pressure. When I was unsure of myself, maybe in unfamiliar territory or against an enemy I wasn't familiar with, I'd use my gauntlets to lay traps and then lure enemies over the traps, allowing me to turn their health or numbers before even starting the fight. I could just as easily switch to the spear, which has great parrying capabilities even if you're mid-combo with your other weapon. It's pretty nice feeling like I can freely switch around my weapons depending on my mood, or I could just narrow down my gameplay choices and focus on my favorites. Not to mention you can upgrade your weapon's power with materials that you find around the city and surrounding areas. Now, as Hilda explores and levels up, she gains attribute points and talent points that she can spend to strengthen herself and learn new skills. Some skills are passive and simply grant her new effects on existing skills and attacks, while others are full-blown attacks, granting damage and utility tailored to your needs. The skill trees aren't too complex or complicated, so simply preview what's there and work towards them as you level up. You'll also find and craft trinkets to enhance her defenses and utilities in plenty of different ways that might interact with a thing or two on the skill tree. Now we've got Hilda, we've got the city, but we need some enemies to fight. And well, yeah, there's no shortage of those. Asterigos offers a wide array of threats, both small and large, and in great numbers to boot. Be wary around every single corner. Keep your eyes both ahead and above you. And well, I bet you're wondering what's down there. I won't spoil it. Alright, fine. Just watch the last 10 seconds of the video and I'll spoil what's down there for you. I know some of you want to know. Seriously, this game pulls no punches, even with Hilda being incredibly capable of dealing with what you come across. She's way more agile and adept, and the different playstyles just give you a lot of room to experiment. And yet, a lot of the enemies can pose a pretty serious threat. Sometimes it's just a horde of soldiers or rabid fire dogs that you made the mistake of letting free. Sometimes there's toxic plants that block your way, or magic ballistae that... yeah, that hurts. Fortunately, the game comes with 3 difficulty options for you, so you can play at a difficulty that suits you best. Also, if it's too easy or too hard, you can change the difficulty whenever you want. Now, something else regarding enemies is their interaction with objects known as conduits. These are basically checkpoints that you find that act as respawn points if you die. You can also use items to teleport directly to the last one that you interacted with, so this should be pretty familiar to a lot of people. You can rest at them at the cost of respawning all of the enemies you've slain, or, maybe use them strategically. Talk to one, go very far away, and then teleport right back to it when the time is right. Speaking of death, it won't set you back too much in this game. You'll lose a bit of Stardust, which is the game's currency that you use for buying items and upgrading your weapons and making trinkets, but you won't have to worry about stocking up your Stardust and making sure you level before you actually die. That is just going to happen naturally. You'll just gain experience as you actually kill the enemies, and the Stardust you lose isn't too bad, even on challenge difficulty. Now, while I'm only 8-ish hours in, I feel like I've barely scraped the surface. The Steam page says there are 22 bosses, and as of about the 8-hour mark, I've beaten 3. I just keep finding myself looking through the world for secrets, side quests, and backtracking to old areas to see what else I can open up now that I've unlocked some other new stuff. It's the kind of game I just get lost in, but don't ever really feel like I'm lost. Not to mention, it has New Game Plus, so if I want to, I can do it all over again and make some different decisions, and just beeline through the city if I really want to get to certain points. To wrap it all up in a bow, I'm seriously impressed with the quality of the game, and I haven't even told you all of the individual gameplay elements that you'll be interacting with, so there's even more layers on top of it. It has a familiar yet unique feel. The gameplay is responsive but challenging, at least on the highest difficulty that I'm playing on. And Hilda's plight is one I'm genuinely enjoying. Athos so far as a setting has offered solid variety, despite the game taking place just around this one location. And while I've encountered a few small bugs here or there, the game has otherwise been running well. Not to mention, it's only $35. When I'm 8 hours in, I'm having fun with no end in sight, and the game is half the price of your average AAA title nowadays. That's what gets me excited to do a sponsored video like this. These are my favorite kinds of sponsored videos because I just get to sit here and be excited and share that with you. So thank you, Acme and Tiny Build, because let me tell you, I think you got a winner on your hands. So if you're looking for an action RPG experience this October, be sure to check it out. Like I said, the game is already out on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, GOG, and the Epic Game Store. Only $35. And you know what? It even has a demo. If you want to try it out first, see if you like it, be sure to give that a peek as well. But with that, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Thank you again, Acme and Tiny Build, for sponsoring this video. And let me know what you think in the comment section of the video below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, take care.